What's up?
Yeah. No, I'd be curious to see some of these podcasts and to hear them and see the videos as well. You can just send me the link later.
It's still
What kind of
pretty.
conversation? What do you do? What is the aim for? What's the idea?
The aim is to encourage people to foster more connections. And I think because someone like me, I'm pretty introverted, not normally. I really need alone time. And one of the counters of that is maybe people who have this kind of personality tendency might feel less confident or interesting. So the idea of the podcast is that you can be, it's less about you being interesting as being more interested. And so sometimes just by asking great questions where you're genuinely curious and that you can have a good conversation and learn something, hopefully from both sides, and find it valuable.
That's amazing. I find I like it, but you need to be curious about or you really push that side in this conversation to ask. Apart from the fact, from finding the questions to be generally interested, because I think there's a lot of people which are maybe not so they manage to grow individually without really this need of asking question and going into this kind of conversation. I'm more of this side, and I'm on your side. I really like asking questions and talking and hearing, and I'm extremely curious. So I really like that.
Because for me, we're both in Daha, both in Taiwan. Now you're in Penang, where I was before. And there was, I guess, for you, some kind of calling or some connection, not sure what's going on. Why are we showing up repeatedly? Then there's some difficulty to meet. And then part of me, I was like, I'm open to have a conversation, but I'm also curious about what is
that we share, maybe.
What we share, or like what is the purpose? Because usually, beforehand, I'll already talk with someone like, okay, so this is going to be a podcast call or whatever. Like, there's a specific intention that's known by both people prior to setting up a call like this. Let's say from my experience. So for it to just like be kind of random, and it was a little bit different. I was a little bit confused at first. What's going on? Which is different from if I meet someone like in person. If I meet someone in person, it's like whatever. We're just meeting. It happens all the time. Like, what are we talking about? What's going on here? But with a call online, for some reason, it felt like usually if I'm having a call, it's for a specific.
There's a purpose, right? There's a reason behind.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. Well, the purpose for me, I was out of curiosity, basically, to know more about your work. And the fact that we didn't meet in person, David, also.
I mean, it sounds like it overlaps a lot with whatever your brother's doing, men's work.
There's that side as well. Yeah.
There's a whole Penang hippie side with all the tantra and breath work and.
Yeah, there's that too. I'm not here for that reason specifically, but I noticed I was here a long time ago, many years ago, for the first time. I haven't been here to Thailand any other time in the last few years, and now I'm back to study Chinese martial arts. So, but I noticed, it's changed a lot here. There's a big community of.
When you were mentioning that you're like interested to maybe join some of my events, what would you hope to get out of that, or like what are you looking for in those?
So I've joined a few men's group. Well, a men's group when I was living in Switzerland a few years ago. Didn't last too long because of COVID, but it got me interested in it. And then my brother on the other side has been really going deep in the path. And he has an Instagram account and he's posting videos and he's talking about it, and he's actually starting his own men's group. And he's been part of the I forgot the name of the group right now, but yeah, it's a big group that is mainly based in the US. He's
Sacred Sons.
Yes, he worked with them a while, and now he's establishing his own work. So, but I haven't really joined him. So when I saw, I think I saw your event in Dab last year. That was at the time when I was really like leaning, getting close to again with the intention of working with other men. And so yeah, I got curious on, and then for I only stayed a month, and then we didn't end up meeting. But yeah, I guess the reason why I'm interested in this work is not only because my brother is doing that, but also because I think there's lots of need for that. It's a strong need for men to work together, to talk, to really open up, to work out lots of things that maybe went wrong during growing up, and noticing and being able to hear each other and inspire each other and commit, and yeah. And I think there's also a strong need of initiatory practices done together. I don't know if that's the right way to put it in English.
Could you say that again?
Originally, initiation practices done together. Yeah. I think that's one of the things that we lost in the transforming of society, the change of society in the modern ways. We completely lost this factor of bringing certain tradition and initiation practices to the kid, to sons and daughters in the family, in the village, in the tribe. But I think there's dire need of this kind of work to really make the boy grow into adulthood. And what'd you say?
I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you finished talking, but you were still going.
Yeah, no, that's enough.
I'm guessing it's your younger brother that's doing that?
Yeah.
What's the age difference between you two?
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
And how old are you guys? Do you mind if I ask?
No, of course. I'm 37. My brother's 30. So.
Okay. What do you feel is the resistance like to join his group? Why would you want to do something like that with someone?
It's not that I don't want to. We don't live in the same city anymore right now. So also right now I'm traveling and working on other aspects and doing some other stuff right now. But mainly it's the fact that it's his first time, and I don't think he feels I think he wants to establish it first and work with other people. I don't know if he's right now he feels in the space of being able to have me as a brother inside of his men's circle. So I would assume there's also that, and also we don't live in the same city. So, and he's only starting.
He's doing it live. He's not doing it online.
Oh no, he's doing it live. He's gonna do it.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
so you're looking for
no,
something online.
not necessarily. No, not necessarily. I actually would prefer to meet in person. But if it's not available, I'm also fine with working. Of course. I'm curious to enter the space, let's say, of this conversation, this world of topics, understand more, learn more, read more. Yeah, I think it's important.
Yeah. Very. Because I guess I have a similar experience. I guess that it was your younger brother, because I have an older brother who's 4 years older.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I was curious about that. I was actually I was wondering how come you asked me straight away if it was my younger brother.
I'm getting
What's your
emotional to think about it. I imagine that he I think going through my journey, my brother's been kind of on the outside looking in. And I think that part of why me or other men would get into this kind of work is we felt a disconnection from our dads or our older brothers. And when you're a kid, you look up to your dad or your brother as they're supposed to be the ones leading you, right, to help you grow. And if there was some part of that was missing, I think it's very painful for us. So as we become adults, we want to learn the tools. We want to, bring that community or that brotherhood that we felt was missing. So I think it would mean a lot to your brother if you supported him and joined, even if, he's just starting out, he doesn't, he's learning. And I know it can be challenging from the older brother's perspective too. I
apologize. I was burning the room.
I understand from an older brother's perspective, it can also maybe be difficult to acknowledge that your younger brother has something to teach, or that's something you can learn from him. But anyways, I'm just saying from my perspective and my experience, I'm not forcing it, but it would mean a lot to me for my brother to
join, to be part of it, to learn. Yeah, of course.
Whereas for a long time, it was just kind of it's very resistant. It's not him. Even just to do a podcast call, it's not something he wants to do. And I know it'll come with time, but it's just I'm not trying to force it. But I know that would be important for me. So imagine it would be important.
I appreciate for telling me this. I think, and we might have this in common. I was thinking of what you said about being the younger brother and missing maybe this brother figure, or missing some parts, especially for having issues with that, with your dad. I think for me, there were a lot of problems within the household due to the relationship between me and my dad. And then, of course, that had several compound, it had effects. It affected everyone.
Mm.
And so for me, it was very important to leave as soon as I could. So for sure, I think my brother probably missed me. You know, I was too occupied with my own internal matters at the time to be too very much of a support family, especially within, I think. So yeah, that's interesting. These parallels that you mentioned. Yeah, I really hope to. I've always actually, tell you the truth, the last 5 6 years we lived together in Taiwan.
You and your brother?
Yeah, because he came when he was done with his studies. I studied physiotherapy, and then it was done. Didn't really know where to work, what to do, and I invited him to Taiwan. So he came with me. Well, he came right after me and spent a few months together. That was the first time really that we lived together in a very long time. And then for me there was some resistance in a way because I really like to live in Taiwan. I could have seen myself staying, but I decided to go with him. I also wanted to be closer to my family, so we chose Switzerland as a middle ground. I had lived before in Norway, and Norway was, still. If I was to go back to Europe, that was the place where I had more contact and where I thought I could see myself living. But Switzerland was like the easiest choice in a way because it was close to Italy. Um, Wages are good. I thought I could work as a tour guide, speaking Chinese, and we could live together because his one of his best friends was got a really nice job in Zurich, in Switzerland, and then we decided to go together and create a sort of community. The idea was to live with other people and have something going on, nice living situation, and so that's what we did. And right now it's been 2 years that he left Zurich. He moved to the French side of Switzerland with his girlfriend, and we haven't been together, let's say, for a while. We haven't seen each other much in the last couple of years, and so yeah, I really feel. I guess the point that I wanted to make was that I've always wanted to do work with him, to create something with him. One of the reasons of the community was to perhaps later on do some projects together and work together. But I think there was also this kind of work to do separately. Each one of us had to go through this process of individualization. Individualization.
Mm-hmm.
Shadow work. Yeah, lots of things, and I think, yeah, it was very good in the end that he went his own way, and he's doing his work right now by himself, and I'm doing mine. And then I think after all of this, we could join forces again, maybe work together. But I think this process was definitely, yeah, very much needed, at least from my side. And I'm happy in a way, because it wasn't my choice that he left. It was his choice to leave, of course, and it was not easy for me because I relied a lot in relationship with him. It was a very strong bond. Still is, of course, but not living together, you know, created has its own implication. So yeah, I think these last 2 years were very impactful for both of us. I think he's really finding his own voice, and I'm finding my own. And then it's a slow process, but I think, yeah, I would be very happy to learn and to be part of his groups or to work with him. But of course, it has to also come from him. I don't want to push it, you know. But yeah, I would be very happy. But it
Yeah.
was a process again. Like I don't think I would have said this maybe 3 years ago or 4 years ago. Yeah.
Mhm.
So to finish, I would imagine that, as you said, for your brother, might be it's a process now. So maybe right now he's not ready yet to engage, but maybe he will. Maybe in the
Yeah.
near future, maybe in a few years. Just, you know, give him time and space and be, you know, patient. And each one of us are bound to do our own work.
Mhm.
And for some people, it's a slower process, or slower in terms of time. But you know, like it comes later, let's say, or certain processes are coming later, and certain others are coming earlier. It's never the same. It's we're all different.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I'm not like trying to force it. Maybe I'll meet another version of, or he'll meet some version of me, and then he'll be like, "Yo, yeah, whatever." Sometimes you do need like someone on the outside, right? You know, to help facilitate in a sense.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
just like, like for me, I can be a facilitator for other families, let's say, but within my own family, it takes a little bit more time because I'm also the youngest, and in our culture, the youngest has like the least status in the hierarchy. And so, and then obviously also we're related. So it's like I'm in the relationship, but also trying to facilitate like improvements to the overall family. So it can be weird.
especially now, I can imagine right now that you decided to go home because you felt that this work needed to start from your home base. So
Yeah.
I think even more now there might be these kind of frictions or moments of tensions. I don't know. I would imagine that this would definitely come up. No, because I could imagine being the older brother
Mm-hmm.
that the older brother might feel what you said, you know, like he might feel, hey, I'm the older brother, you know, you're the younger, you're supposed to listen to me. Or it's not even that, it's not even conscious sometimes, but it's more like even on the subconscious level, like you feel kind of have to lead the way. And if you feel that your brother is kind of leading you in a way, to learn or to do some work or to do some specific, you feel, wait, my brother is more mature than me. how
Mm-hmm.
how can that be? Where am I? Like you start to have doubts, and then these doubts maybe, you know, can be really tough to work on, you know.
Yeah,
It's deep shit, you know.
you should. You can. It's like it feels a little bit like
It's daunting, man.
embarrassing.
It's really hard. Yeah, it can. Yeah, exactly. It really touches your. It really goes into your masculinity, and it touches deep certain
For sure.
notes, certain, yeah. So I tell you from my side, because that's how I felt often with my brother. I thought he was very mature for his age, and oftentimes he was the one giving me advice, and I felt, hey, you know, I'm the older brother. I'm supposed to be the one. Of course, I did in the past. I had that mandate, if you want, or that role, but that changed as well. And because like we grow in different ways, and sometimes I'm so happy I have a brother.
Yeah.
From the bottom of my heart, I there's so much. I'm so grateful to have a brother, but at the same time, like it's brings a lot of it's a lot of work. There's a lot of like it moves things. It really you really go. You have to deal with a lot of stuff, and especially this thing of being being the older brother and kind of feeling you're being in the position of leading, or being the one who's supposed to be the more mature one, let's say mature brother, and noticing that's not the case sometimes, and you're the one relying on the younger brother. I don't know if that's the case for your brother. I'm telling you about my own story, and it really touches nerves on a personal level, on your what you say, what's the word, on your yeah, at an individual level, let's say, on your sometimes the words don't come. It's all right, but you got my point.
Yeah. Does your dad have a brother? Do you have an uncle?
No, I do not.
No.
I do not. Okay. I have 3 aunts, but I don't have an uncle. I think it would have been cool to have an uncle.
Yeah.
My family is pretty small, actually. It's not a big family. It's not a typical Italian family that you would imagine. Big.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is hard for men sometimes to like learn from younger guys, or admit that they might know something that you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure your dad's going through the same thing, right? Where it's hard. It probably is hard for him to see either of you to kind of lead in some ways, to lead him in some ways. Maybe he feels like he failed as a father, or like, but it's just. But at the same time, you kind of want that. Like, you kind of want the next generation to be better. I would think. I think most parents want their children to be better, or to not have to go through things that they might have gone through, or to progress society or humanity.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it takes humility. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I think one thing is to want something.
Yeah.
And one thing is to deal with that.
Yeah.
So you might want something for your kids, and also to show you these kind of things. But when it happens, then you have to deal with it. Then it's tough. Anyway, even if you want that.
Yeah.
So
it's like they say, you got to be careful what you wish for, because a lot of times what you wish for actually requires
but
you
it's
to confront yourself.
Yeah, but I think it's part of, like, you want the best for your kids. If you have a pure soul, like, the more, if you really wish the best for your kids, and I think, like, being a good parent means to really wanting the best for your kids, is really to see them grow in the most beautiful and authentic way possible, and seeing their voice expand and grow, and seeing them, really become what the best, or this beautiful potential flourishing. And then the problem is to deal with it, because you still need to deal with the consequences of it, and there's still some parts maybe of the these shadow parts, which can be stagnant by.
Yeah. Yeah.
So definitely for me, that was the case. Noticing, at least, even because the fact that then you have to notice. And
Yeah.
if you don't notice, then it's, but when you start noticing, maybe doing little introspection work, and then you notice certain things, and then there's lots of, it's like a knot, and then you have to slowly work your way through it.
So where are you at now in terms of that?
I don't know. I mean, when it comes to this side, I think it's. I'm sorry, I'm there's lots of mosquitoes here, and I'm burning this, but I've done the mistake of putting fire when everywhere, so now it's just burning everywhere. I have to take care that I don't start a fire in my own room. It should be fine. All right. Where I'm at. Yeah, I think I can see this playing out. This, I'm a kind of happy with it in a way that I noticed, and I think I'm kind of at peace with it right now. I wasn't before. A lot of internal turmoil going on prior. I think now I'm in my own process. I'm discovering my talents. I'm working on having clarity. And I'm doing my own stuff, and I'm finding my own voice, and that means that I'm not so perturbed by whatever might be this interplay of these connections, this the fact that he might have had, and I relied more on him than him on me, or this kind of dynamics. I think I'm growing and past these issues and finding my own voice, and then once we both have our own voices, we can really could really work together in a more profound, beautiful way. So yeah, I think this is my process right now. I'm there working on myself.
What are the things that excite you most, or that you're most passionate about now?
I'm quite happy with my. It's funny to say that, but I'm quite happy with my situation right now, in the sense that I work right now mainly in the summer. I work as a lifeguard, which is not it wasn't the dream of my life. If you asked me 3 years ago, I would have said, yeah, you're crazy. I don't think I'm ever going to work as a lifeguard, but here I am working as a lifeguard in Switzerland. And it gives me some stability. I only work 5 months a year, and I think it's the optimal amount. It's not too much. It just gives me those months right now, and it's I have this job. I know that I'm in Zurich, and then the rest of the year I'm kind of doing my own personal work. So right now I'm here in Copenhagen to study Chinese martial arts. I'm thinking of studying maybe Chinese medicine in the future. I'm really into music, so singing, guitar, but especially singing right now. So that's what really excites me is music, for sure, martial arts. Perhaps in the future studying Chinese medicine, and in the meantime I also did a course and did for a bit. I've been teaching online, Italian, Spanish, English. Ideally, I would do that with Chinese people or Chinese-speaking people to help them improve their English or Spanish or even Italian. And that could be a way for me to start working online mainly. So that would mean give me more capacity of relocating and moving around. But I'm happy, as I said, to have right now the space in Zurich because I have many friends there. I have my house. I have a place where I feel home, and it's not too far away from my original hometown where I grew up in Tuscany.
What has interested you or drawn you so much to like Chinese medicine,
That's a good question.
Culture?
I don't know. Frankly, I think it's fate. I don't know. I grew up being an otaku. I've always loved mangas. So I think I was 14, but I was watching a lot. In Italy, it's very common to watch Japanese cartoons, anime. Or it was, at least, they were broadcasted by television. And then when I was 14, I started, even maybe earlier, but I was reading already lots of comics. But then at 14, I started reading mangas. And then that, I became obsessed by mangas. I was reading lots of them. I was buying lots of them. I started, having collections. If you see my room, the one which I grew up, I have a massive shelves full of mangas. So I guess there was that. So I was always interested in kind of in Asia, but especially in Japan. And then when the first time when I traveled to Asia, I was in the company of my ex-girlfriend. She was half Asian. So her mother was Malaysian Chinese, and so we traveled to Malaysia, and then we did a tour. We traveled through Malaysia, Borneo, mainland, and then Thailand, Laos, and then we entered China, and then we got into the region of Yunnan, the province of Yunnan. And there I spent my first weeks in China, and then we did an intensive Chinese course because we thought it was very valuable and useful to travel around because we thought of traveling 1.5 months. So we did 15 days in Kunming, just learning a bit of Chinese, and that was my first. I was blown away. If you say that in English, I think. I was really. I was very interested. I got really interested very quickly into Chinese language. I understood, the relationships with Chinese and Japanese. That there was a common character set. Kanji, Hanzi, and there I got really into it. And when I traveled back to Europe, I moved to. Well, I ended up going to Japan as well in that trip, and I spent some time in Japan. But by then, I had already started learning Chinese, and I was like, okay, this is cool. Maybe I can learn Chinese instead of Japanese, or maybe I can learn both. Then I moved to Norway to study biology, and I moved to a very small place in the northern part of Norway. Nobody, like a forgotten small place in the Arctic Circle. And there was a Confucius Institute of all places. So I started learning Chinese, and they gave me a scholarship, and then I ended up in Beijing. So it was, you see, like there were lots of things that played into it. And then, my interest grew. And when I was in China, of course, I got more and more interested into whatever, I had I could touch with my own hands and see with my own eyes the power of Tai Chi, Qigong, and then I experienced Chinese medicine, and then I went to these chaguan, the tea houses, and I had tea, and I was taken by that, and really I got more and more interested, fascinated by the traditional culture. So that's what gave me more interest in pursuing that. When I moved back to Europe, I had only gotten to not a really high level of Chinese. So I thought, let me see if there's a way that I can go back and study. And then I did a few courses with an online university, and this online university had an exchange program in Taiwan at Donghai University. That's what I did, and then I moved to Taichung for 2 semesters, and so I improved my Chinese, but really without really having a real purpose for it. I never really studied it for a reason, like, okay, I'm gonna work in this specific field, or I'm gonna do a master's degree. I didn't know. I just felt this interest growing, and feeling that it was, for some reason I should study Chinese. I don't know why. That's what I did, and now I'm studying this Chinese martial arts, and also I have this interest in Chinese medicine, and I feel again this really strong will to improve Chinese. I actually just finished my first lesson. Again, I just started to study Chinese again, so it's yeah, you can see that this time could be something that I will bring with me, that I will keep this work even if I'm not necessarily right now in China or Taiwan or in other, or Malaysia or in Singapore where they speak Chinese. But I can keep it, and I will continue to study, and that I have more to grow and to learn. Because if I study Chinese martial arts, then or Chinese medicine, then I will want to read texts in Chinese, and I like calligraphy, so there's reasons for me to improve. And when I thought of it before, I didn't think to go so deep, and I thought, okay, but can I actually make friends with people who speak Chinese? And it wasn't that easy, especially when I was back in Europe. So, and I had to learn German. So in the last few years, my interest began to withdraw, or like I had lost a bit of interest. And now that I have again this reasons, I think, yeah, it's growing even stronger.
What would you say is the most important lesson from your time in Asia that you feel could be applied to Western culture, let's say? Most important lesson, most important philosophy, or just life perspective?
That's a good question. Beautiful question. I'll answer you I think in the Western world or in the Western societies, I think there's more of a tendency of being right or being wrong, or having, there's more of this, uh, you know, wanting to assert your dominance in a conversation, or knowing, it's like that, it's like this. I think Asia taught me to be more open to different ideas, to weigh them, to there's not that there's in the Taoist view, there's speck of good in the evil, there's evil in good, there's white in the black, there's black in the white. It's like it's all together, it's a ball.
Mhm.
It's a sphere, there's everything. And yeah, I think it taught me to be, I don't know why I'm even saying this, because I don't know what exactly is that taught me this in Asia. But if when you ask me, I think that's the first thing that came up into my mind. So maybe this capacity of being more to listen to um, other ideas, other stories, and be more perceptive about them, and not necessarily being right. It's not. I don't care anymore so much about being right or being wrong. Yeah, and I think this is something that Asia taught me. Also, I think this is also something that you can really see in the Chinese characters. Like a character can have so many different meanings, and you can use these characters. You can kind of play with them like Legos. You can create different things. There's lots more interplay. I don't know. Yeah, there's probably way more right now. This is what comes up.
Mm. Trying to
What
process
about
that.
for you? What is it for you that I don't know? I guess in your as you grew up in Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
You said you've been traveling a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and then you probably have this interplay of you speak English as a native,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I wonder if there's something. This is something that you might notice, or if there's something that maybe the opposite, because you grew up in Asia and then you lived abroad. Is there something that you learn from being outside of Asia? What's the most important thing that you learned from this moving away from there?
Yeah, I was gonna say that I have the kind of I was reflecting on the opposite experience where I was more growing up here and then going to the West, learning. It wasn't even through. It's mainly through Jordan Peterson and his description of Christianity. And there is Christianity here, although I didn't grow up Christian here. But
Mm.
understanding more the idea of like the divinity that resides in the individual, I think was
Mm.
an idea that traditionally was less established in the East, where it's more like group dynamics, family dynamics, and in the West, it's kind of more individuality and pursue your dreams and things like that. And for me, that's kind of how I lived in my 20s. But I think things come full circle where it's like you have to, or at least I feel like I have to, because it's the part of, I think that's where like free will and choice comes in. Whereas if you feel like you're forced to do what your family tells you to do, to get married to a certain person or have a certain job or whatever, you feel trapped in that, because you don't feel like it's your choice. But if you go like the experience I was fortunate to have, where I got to go abroad, and then now I'm like, I choose to come home, I choose to listen to my parents, I choose to like live here and take on my role within my family. It's a very different experience. It feels like freedom. It's like it's I'm voluntarily constraining myself, but I feel free in doing that. Whereas like I guess in the West, yeah, maybe there's this reverse thing where everyone is, there's kind of this bigger emphasis on individuality, and that's good.
Yeah.
And people feel isolated, people feel disconnected. A lot of the mental
people
health.
feel isolated, feel disconnected, feel lost without a purpose. Yeah, you're right.
So I think there's some blend that needs to occur, and I think it's true with like a lot of the rules of, or the traditions of the past. Like when you frame it as rules and as things you have to follow, then people rebel, people question. But if it's, you have to voluntarily choose to follow those, which I wouldn't even call rules. They're more like life strategies, I think. It's not like, I use
because
Christianity
as the wording are really important. The way you word things it's extremely important.
Right.
It's true what you said.
It's like, and it's an idea I've been reflecting on recently. Whereas like in the Bible, let's say, you're generally not supposed to have sex before marriage, as an example. You're supposed to get married first, or at least be in a committed relationship. That's like my modern way of saying. But if you say it as a rule, like, okay, if you don't do that, God will punish you and go to hell. It's like, when you're young, you're like, what does that mean? But it's like through my own experience of life and like not obeying that or not listening to that, I'm like, I think I should probably wait more, like just for my own, like it's not healthy to have sex before a committed relationship, I don't think, for me anymore. So I'm coming back to like what used to be a rule, but I'm treating it not like a rule, but as like a strategy. Like, or if I want to have a good relationship, I probably should take sex more seriously.
Yeah, because before you didn't see the sense in it, and then by living, you experience that maybe that rule is there for a reason, and it's helping us instead of binding us to this authoritative rule, just telling us that, okay, that's how we're supposed to live. That's not freedom. But the fact that you've been going against it, rebelled, as you say, or lived through the consequences of your actions, and now you can think maybe, okay, there's people who think, no, I enjoy that. I don't care. I don't need this rule in my life. But for you, it might be different.
Yeah.
And you reflect on it, and now you come full circle, as you say, and now it's not a rule anymore. I mean, it's a rule that it's a moral standpoint. You choose willingly to subject you to follow this. Yeah.
So in general, I guess it's this: how can I merge this idea where, like this east and west of you should be allowed to be your own individual, but maybe you should also voluntarily choose to adopt responsibility, like in social hierarchies, like family or community or whatever, or recommendations, like recommendations that have been traditionally passed down, whether it's through your culture or like through the Bible as an example. but not make it seem like it's something that's like you have to do, or if you don't do it, you're a bad person, or God will punish you, or all these ways that like religion kind of frames it. Whereas there's a lot of wisdom there. It's just
I
that
think
when it becomes
it's
preachy,
true.
people don't listen, you know?
That's it.
And so,
And I think the modern world has gone in a direction. We grew up in a moment in time in which it was normal, and it was very much so we were encouraged to go against the norm or against the rules, the moral, because in the last 100 years or more, basically people didn't started to oppose all these rules because they were deemed as old and you know, like they didn't have any value for us anymore because the progress came, and these are old stupid things that don't matter anymore. These were good for people who were not able even to understand, to live, and to, you know, they were just following these rules without, you know, just because someone has preached them. And but we are smarter than that, so we're gonna go all against it, and then we face the consequences of it. And then the whole society is basically a representation of that. So yeah, I think, as you say, we're going full circle. Then wait, there's actually cool stuff in the past. You know, like I noticed that through the Chinese tradition. There's and check what happened in China. You know, when Mao took power, and not only there, but also in Russia or many other places. Like when there's this built-up resentment and this transformation and this, then there's like, okay, let's change everything 360 degrees. No, 180. So let's demolish everything that was built in the past. We're going new, but then you find out, hey, wait, there's a lot of good stuff there. And it's good that even at a young age you were able to see it, that, you know, maybe many of these rules were there for a reason, and actually can help us more than limit us. But you cannot, I was not able to understand that when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, and when I couldn't even understand the role of my father very well, and his ways.
Yeah.
Now
it's challenging because at the same time, their rules sometimes do need to be updated, or strategies do need to be updated.
Of course,
with increases in technology, with what we can do, with how society is.
Yeah.
So you can't, like, I wouldn't say like you just stick to whatever. Like you have to update with the times. That's not always easy.
Yeah.
It's not always perfect. It's messy sometimes. As you try to figure it out. So it can also be like, you know, the other part is the danger of just, okay, we're gonna stick to these rules no matter what, like no matter what's happening, like, because, you know, life does change sometimes. So
yeah, and the set of rules, the set of rules maybe were good and specific to a group of people. Of course, there are some certain rules which can be really can be taken and perhaps they work on a global level. But I would say that many rules also work in specific groups, specific moments of time, specific levels of thinking. A certain rule maybe has to be revised and has to change because the consciousness changes. Our own level of thinking has also changed. And this is basically what's happening, I think.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. Yeah. That's what I got.
Nice talk, man. That's nice.
I'm gonna ask you
I've never done a podcast in my life.
final questions.
It's
How
nice.
was it?
Yeah.
What's your last name, by the way?
Did you say?
What's it?
I didn't. I said I never done a podcast. That's what
What's
I
your
said.
last
I was
name?
really. My last name. Oh, sorry. It's Dotta. So Dotta.
T-O
Dotta.
T-O-T-A. Okay. Okay. So some final questions that I usually ask at the end of my podcast. So if you could only gift one book for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Right now it's okay. I'm gonna answer you with Aldous Huxley's A New World. What's the name in English?
Brave New World.
What's the Brave New World right now? Because I think that's a very good analysis and description of a society in which we are catapulting ourselves into. Otherwise, I would say Dante Alighieri's Commedia. It's an Italian book. I think it's Dante is and foremost the pioneer and the one who basically sort of created the Italian language, the progenitor of the Italian language, and he wrote one of the most amazing. It's Dante, so Dante, like Dante's Inferno. I think the English name of it is Dante's Inferno. That's one. Yeah, that's a very symbolic and profound book. It's a journey of a man through. Yeah, he wrote that, and very deep, profound.
Got it.
It was written 800 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. What piece of advice would you give to yourself from when you were 18?
Breathe, man. Just take it easy. It's not so what you think it's so. What you think it's so. What do you think it's killing you? What do you think it's really destroying you right now? Is just your own mental, just a creation of your mental. Your own mental substrata. I don't know how to say that in English. Your own system giving you these inputs, and then there's a broader perspective to be found, and learn Tai Chi and learn meditation. Learn to deal with the. So, what did you hear?
No, it's good. Learn to what? Deal.
Yeah, learn to deal. Learn to seek higher ground. There's not only your world is very small. it's gonna grow, and whatever it might be obsessing you right now, you will forget about it. So there's more to it.
Do you feel like
And
that?
don't be so fucking negative about the world.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're still negative, or you've gotten better?
No, I got much better about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to be very negative when I was 18.
Mm.
I used to be very nihilistic about the world,
Yeah.
in society, everything.
The last guest left the question: is any big regret or anything you would change in your life?
Yeah, again, like learn to play an instrument, find joy in it, find the joy in the consistency, learn to meditate, learn Tai Chi, learn everything that is deepening and making you see reality in a more profound and deeper way. And music is the ultimate language. So find a way to learn an instrument, which I'm doing now. But if I had started when I was 10 or 15, it would be easier now. I could play much more than what I can play now. So,
is there a question you would like to leave for the next guest?
is that a what?
Is there a question you would like to leave for the next guest?
The first one who came to my mind is, what's the last time you really experienced a broader sense of love, and why and where?
A brother sense of love?
Like a
Broader,
sense
broader,
of love that
broader,
broader.
broader. Okay.
But also brother? No, you can't use that for your brother. Nah, bro.
And for you, what would that time be? The last time you experienced that?
Yesterday, day before. It's going deep into either it was when I was singing or when I was practicing Tai Chi.
Okay. Any final things you want to share?
No, right now it's good. Drink water.
Drink
I have
water.
to. I try to remember that. Remind myself of that. So.
Yeah. Yeah, drink water.
Otherwise, I don't drink nearly enough. Drink water is good.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you for your time. You don't have to go off yet. I'm just gonna shut off the recording.
All right.
Say some final words.